What's up, sports fans? Happy welcome to episode 26 of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast presents Sports Breakers. It's a sports conversation and some predictions. I'm your host Swan, and I am joined by Mr. OU man himself.
What's up? Hey, it was a big weekend. Let's go.
What was last
Big
weekend? This weekend coming up, we both get some much-needed rest.
100%.
Man, how's your week been, man?
Well, work-wise, it's been a little depressing. Long story short, we got bought out, so I don't know what my future holds where I'm currently at. But other than that, continue to, we'll do a little Greg Schiano on, mantra. We just got to keep chopping, just keep it going, keep it moving, and take the days as it come.
Speaking of a change of guard, so to speak, the big trade in the NFL today, as we're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon, the Las Vegas Raiders trade Devontae Adams to his old quarterback.
I missed this.
To the New York Jets.
Wow. Yeah, I missed this news. When did this happen?
This happened just about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago.
Interesting.
So Aaron Rodgers has no excuse now to have a game like he had on Sunday. He's got Devontae Adams, who he's familiar with, and now the Jets seem... Man, are the Jets poised to try and dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs?
I don't even know if it'll be the Chiefs this year. 4 consecutive games of getting bailed out.
The way the referees are helping, I don't know. Seems like the NFL wants to see a storyline in the making, one that only maybe one Vince McMahon can draw up. But the Baltimore Ravens look good this past weekend. And it's just one game, but the Buffalo Bills are still, they're still there. So I don't know. The NFL is starting to get a little interesting.
There's a couple things popping up that have piqued our interest so far, but it is early. Things can change, just like they did in a couple of weeks for some of these teams that we're going to be talking about today. It could change just as much in the next couple of weeks. So
let's talk about the NFL. We'll end it with college football and start with the NFL today. So it was a weird week, another weird week, I think, in the NFL. Teams underproducing. Some teams are like, whoa, the Vikings 4-0. The Falcons, coming over to and defeating the Saints at home. The Buccaneers
1-3.
Yeah, the Buccaneers laying it to the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Texans barely surviving the Jags. The Bears, the Commanders. The Ravens, I didn't expect that to be a blowout. The Tennessee Titans, I know the quarterback right now. The Lions are looking good. But you know what I've noticed in the NFL?
Your mic's getting... If you're hitting a cord, it's going in and out.
You know what I've... Better?
Yeah, just don't hit it.
You know what I noticed in the NFL is, is there a team that just looks constantly consistent?
Better than the rest?
There's not.
No. I mean, you would probably sit here and say the Buccaneers, but it's still popping. I don't know where it's at or whatever, but
it's a piece of trash. I'm going to have to get a new one.
You might see the Buccaneers if they didn't squander that one against the fairly bad Broncos, but you might say the best looking team could be the Lions or the Texans, even though they both kind of struggled. Um, Lions not so much this week, but they're about even when it comes to games struggled.
It's funny that the Chiefs are 4-0, but nobody's talking about the Chiefs being like good with the team.
It sounds like you're underwater right now.
No, no, back there. Keep going. Back up. Probably.
Just
Okay.
unplug it and plug it back in. But yeah, a lot of popping too. So yeah, I mean, just you're looking like you said, the Vikings surprising 4-0. I think where you were leading off was the Chiefs are 4-0, but they don't feel 4-0 just because of how many close games they've been a part of. The Chargers have surprised me. They looked really good early against the Chiefs, and then as they've done in the last 6 years, they just kind of choke it away and they aren't able to finish that game. But the Chargers have surprised me a little bit throughout the first 4 games, even though they are 500. They've looked good. They've looked consistent. They just don't have a lot of playmakers as far as receivers go. So I think that kind of hinders them a little bit. But yeah, I mean, 49ers at 2-2 is surprising. Dolphins at 1-3. We all know why that's the case, but that's
This is gonna
surprising.
this is gonna be the year where it's gonna end up being uh it's definitely how you finish.
Yeah,
This might be a year where like a 9-8 team run away with it.
yeah. Maybe not runs away with it, but uh, whoever gets hot at the right time. It could be a lot of games where you know half the NFL is right around 500, 600, and then it's just it reminds me of where like a lot of the teams, if anybody can take that route that the Giants did in 07,
Hmm.
where they just got hot at the right time defensively and are able to kind of carry that offense through the you know to the through the postseason, and then the offense just kind of gets a couple miracle plays. Anybody get anybody, it's anybody's season this year, is what it feels like, and that's good for the league. Even though the Chiefs, like you said, even though the Chiefs are 4-0, you lose Rasheed Rice. Xavier Worthy's good, but he's a rookie.
What if and it's like a team like what if they stumble upon a 5-6-0 record and then they could get hot at that time and then they look
Yeah,
they could be completely unstoppable.
yeah,
But
yeah. Just because they stumbled through the first 4 games doesn't mean anything. They could catch fire week 6,
yeah.
go 12-0, and then just be the Chiefs that we all
You
know.
you know what I think though? I think this is a product of there not just being that much preseason.
True.
A lot of players held out because of contracts. A lot of players just didn't get that many reps in because the NFL is trying to shorten the preseason. Um, I even heard something stupid today that like the NFL may have to where there's only 2 preseason games, and it's like, man, these teams are struggling chemistry wise as is now. I could
Yeah,
just imagine if there's only 2 preseason games. And people were like, "Oh, they still have practice." No, they will cut training camps. They'll cut practices short too,
yeah,
and then there's nothing like live games. That's how you get better. That's how you get reps in.
yeah. I mean, with them pushing the 18-game schedule, it's almost like they're like, who cares if the first 3 weeks are bad product? People are still going to watch it, and
Yep.
then midway through the season, people will start to catch form, and then it'll be a product that everybody wants to watch. Because honestly, through the first 3-4 weeks of the season, it doesn't matter who's on, doesn't matter what's on,
It's
doesn't
nothing.
matter who's playing, not playing. It's the fact that football is on the TV, and that's all that matters.
So let's talk about this predictions. Uh, Watching some late college football games Saturday night, and then just literally less than 12 hours later, watching some noon kickoff games on Sunday for the NFL. Is it me? Even though those NFL stadiums are sold out, to me, an NFL game crowd wise is so much more quieter. than a college football game.
Yeah,
I almost
because
I almost felt like I was watching a golf tournament in like the Minnesota game, the Indianapolis Colts game sold out 65,000, but it was quiet.
yeah, these stadiums are super. They feel larger than they are, but Auburn over the weekend holds 88,000 plus, whereas the Cowboy Stadium is what 67,
Oh man,
68.
close to 100,000.
The Cowboys?
Dallas, yeah, yeah.
I might be way off there.
Dallas Cowboys Stadium is close to 100,000.
Well, okay, so I'll say Tampa Stadium. Tampa Stadium isn't that big because it cuts down.
About
Um,
78,000. Tampa Bay.
yeah, but it's the fact that there's the bands, it's the continuous chants. Vikings kind of surprised me though because they do have that skull chant. They have the horn. So for them to be kind of quiet over the weekend was surprising.
I think Bay though. Yeah, the NFL game is so much more quieter to me than college games.
Yeah, it's yeah. Raymond James is 75. It looks smaller than that. That's kind of wild.
Did you see where it's gonna the average college football game now is more expensive than to go to an NFL game?
College is the funner product. Just overall, the overall experience, college is the funner product. And people are probably trying to get their tickets in while they can before it implodes with all
Oh,
the stuff that's going on.
I'm sure it's about to implode too. Um,
You have a picture?
we can get ready to talk about a NFL week that, yeah, I mean, there's some pretty good primetime games on. There's a Thursday night, Sunday night, and then next Monday, thank goodness, there's only one Monday night game, and it looks to be a pretty good Monday night game. So uh, we'll see. But tomorrow night, Thursday night, October the 3rd, Buccaneers at Atlanta, Prime Video. Who you got?
Give me the Bucks. I think they keep it rolling. I think what they are doing offensively is um, it's very complimentary. It really helps Baker in his decision making and being able to get the ball out quick. Um, the longer it's obvious, the longer you hold the ball in the pocket, the more pressure you're going to feel. But I think what they were doing offensively last week against the Eagles, just getting the ball out, letting the receivers kind of do the work, it worked. And then whenever you decide to have those longer play action plays, Baker was able to really be decisive in his throws. So give me the Buccaneers in that one.
I I don't trust Kirk Cousins. 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. I don't trust the Atlanta Falcons team, even though they're in Atlanta. So give me the Bucks. I have the Bucks in this one as well. Indianapolis Colts at the Jaguars. I think quarterback Anthony Richardson is still out. Jonathan Taylor is out. But you got Joe Flacco starting at quarterback. Um, Jaguars look trash, man. They look like trash.
Yeah, but week by week they're getting a little bit better.
So this could be a sneaky game where Jacksonville might get the win with a banged up Indianapolis Colts. Uh, let me talk to you about Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's the guy. I think this is probably his last maybe prime season in Indianapolis. Dude's already got 6 interceptions. His passing percentages is trash. He's already got another hit pointer. He's just injury after injury already. I think this is only his second year too, but for some reason it feels like this is like year 4 of just trash quarterback play in Indianapolis. I think he's got to go, man. I don't know about you, but I think this is the last year I evaluate him.
Uh it's tough. Um, I mean, you have Joe Flacco. I don't know where they're going to fall. I don't know where you're going to fall in the the draft to be able to get a decent quarterback. I don't know who else coming out in the draft this year, so you have to run with them for at least this year. Get them healthy. Again, we talked about this before. Is this a product of bad play calling, of bad play design, of utilizing a quarterback one way when that's not the best way that they should be used? I mean, the dude gets hurt. 2 plays later, comes back in and runs a quarterback draw, I believe, or he takes off and runs. At some point, you got to say, look, man, you were just injured. If you feel like you have to take off and run with it, you're near the goal line, throw it out of the back of the end zone. Don't make something happen. We need you long term.
I think this is also just bad recruiting or bad
Drafting.
drafting. You see somebody who was just a year and a half sensation. You want to draft him because you think you might have that next Lamar Jackson, and then he's just a bust. I'll be the first to say I think Anthony, and I hope he can. I mean, again, who am I? That's what I want to know. I'm a nobody, but just from watching and looking, I think he's trash, man. He needs to go.
He's only played, I think they said like 19 games. It might be up to 22 now since, before this year, but 22 games since high school as a starter. That might have something to do with it, you know?
And again, that's not on him.
No.
That's on Jim Irsay. That's on the Colts organization. And again, if you draft him that high, put him behind. He should not even have played last year. Put
Yeah.
him behind Gardner Minshew. This year, put him behind Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco, if healthy, he can play some football.
I mean, Anthony, he had some good moments last year. I think if you just let him sit behind Minshew all last year and let him develop and learn and not just go in and be thrown into the fire to get hurt, and you bring him out this year and you let him play those preseason games and he comes out, it could be a different story. But I again, you see it in college football, you see it with Oklahoma. If the play calling is not there, good quarterback play can be non-existent.
Let me tell you also, the Indianapolis Colts as an organization is complete poppycock. It's trash. It's garbage. You have Peyton Manning fall into your hands in 1998. You waste the man's career. He gets you one Super Bowl. You don't build the way you should around him. You completely waste his career, I believe. And then you do the exact same thing to Andrew Luck. And then now look, they're paying for it 20 some odd years later.
Yeah.
Jim Irsay is just nothing but a drunk who does not know how to run his NFL team. He's in it for the money, just like half the other NFL owners are. Just like Jerry Jones.
Yeah. We talked about Jerry Jones not really caring about what happens to their record this year. He just wants it to be ran his way, and it's his way or nothing.
Yeah. So I think the Indianapolis Colts is in for a long, long, long few years.
Yeah,
Um,
if they lose this weekend to the Jags, after the Jags have looked pretty bad, it could be a long year.
I'm gonna go with the Jags though.
I agree. I'm going with the Jags.
Uh, London game, the New York Jets. I don't know if Devontae Adams will make the trip, but the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings, technically at. It's a London game. These are sometimes trap games too for certain NFL teams because of the travel.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we can always see how good Minnesota might be in a completely neutral country and against that defense.
Yeah, I mean they're 2-2, and they're road and away games before and overall. So I mean they it's been even where they've played and who they've played. They've played bad teams. They played good teams. Um, Sam Darnold is honestly the surprise of the season.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of expecting JJ McCarthy to come in, and if JJ McCarthy is in and playing, they're
They
not
might,
4-0.
oh no. Sam Darnold, check this out. 932 yards, 11 touchdowns, just 3 picks.
Yeah. And isn't it funny that Sam and Baker were in the same draft. They both go kind of the same route. They're in a place, they're they're used, they're thrown away. They end up at Carolina. They're used, they're thrown away. They're in the same quarterback room. They go to new places with new starts, with consistent offensive coordinators, and all of a sudden they're having Pro Bowl type seasons and through 4 games. Granted, it's 4 games.
They have decent teams around them. They have
Decent teams, decent defenses.
Yeah.
But that's what can happen, man. You Baker was playing scout team defensive end with the Panthers, and all of a sudden now he's $100 million, 3-1, should have been 4-0, but they barely lost to the Broncos. But they look good, man. They got a complete team down there in Tampa. I feel comfortable with saying they probably end up winning the division. If they don't, it's because the Saints just have 2 miraculous games against them.
I'm in this London game though, I'm going with the Jets. I think the Jets pick it back up and beat the Minnesota Vikings.
I agree. I think the Jets beat the Vikings.
The Ravens at Cincinnati, must win for both teams. Maybe. I don't think
you don't want to go 1-4. You don't want to be 1, 2, and 3, especially after the start the Ravens have had.
And this is a division.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's safe to say whoever loses this game might just be done for the season. More so the Bengals and the Ravens. The Ravens showed a lot of fight last week. Seems like Derrick Henry might be starting to kind of get his footing and his role in Baltimore, especially after what they did last week. I think they win this game. I think they beat the Bengals.
Me too. I don't trust Cincinnati's defense. They made the Commanders and they made Jane Daniels look like a professional. I mean, he is a professional, but they made him look like a Hall of Famer in one night. I think the Ravens has a field day running the football on the Bengals. I'm going to go Ravens as well.
Yeah. We'll get to the Commanders here in a bit, but
speaking of the Commanders, it's in the same division. I think this is a must-win for Dallas. Dallas on
the
the road.
Browns.
Huh? Dallas on the road against Pittsburgh. Sunday Night Football. Minnesota's 2-point favorites. Or not Minnesota, Pittsburgh's 2.
I was gonna say you're like speaking of speaking of the Commanders. I was like, no, Dallas. Where'd you get?
I'm having a.
Yeah. I think.
And this is also going to suck, but Dallas is going to be without Brandon Cooks. They're also going to be without DeMarcus Lawrence. They're also going to be without Micah Parsons. They're also going to be without Kalen Carson and Jordan Phillips. So 4 defensive guys are out, and then Brandon Cooks is out.
I'm going to be honest. Micah Parsons hasn't done much this year.
He's only got 1 sack.
It could be a good thing that he's out. I don't know if he's been injured. I don't know if he's just not in the right headspace, but he's not been that dominant player on a contract season.
He's out with an ankle injury.
Yeah, but I think Dak and CD really hook up in this game. I think they have a big game together. I think the Cowboys get a big W here.
And you know what it might have to do with maybe Justin Fields too. I think if this is a game that they can go without DeMarcus Lawrence, I think it's this game. They need to win it, man. I'm going to be a little biased in this one, but I think Dallas pulls it off on the road. They got to get this win. This is desperation mode already for Dallas.
They are undefeated on the road, 2-0. So
they did that a few years ago. The Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. They're both 1-3. The loser might just start looking towards the draft at a quarterback.
Yeah, give me the Patriots. Yeah. You're putting up the Patriots good versus the Dolphins bad in their offense. Patriots defense, Dolphins offense. If you can't score points, it doesn't really matter. So I think the Patriots offense will be able to get at least something for them. So give me the Patriots over the Dolphins.
I'll go Patriots too. Cleveland Browns at the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels is looking pretty decent.
Yeah, they took that big heavy loss week 1 against the Buccaneers, but ever since then, slowly but surely, Jaden Daniels is kind of creeping his way into really looking comfortable in that pocket and within this offense. I think Dan Quinn has this team going. I think they beat the Browns by 10.
I don't. I like Miles Garrett in this. Washington's offensive line is looking a little shaky sometimes towards the pass rush. I'm gonna go Cleveland. I think Cleveland upsets them here.
But I think Deshaun's out for the Browns.
Um,
Am I mistaken on that?
no, he's not out. He's healthy.
Okay, I thought he got hurt last week.
No, he's in. But yeah, I'm gonna go Cleveland. I think they'll upset them. This should be an interesting game. I'm hoping Tony Romo and Jim Nance calls this one. The Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans, both 3-1 teams. This is going to be a decent game. I think Buffalo bounces back though. I think Buffalo gets the win in Houston.
Yeah, man, this is a really tough one to call.
Joe Mixon is doubtful as well though.
Yeah, I think the Bills without Stephon Diggs are a as far as team chemistry goes, much better without him. I don't think Stephon has one of those big games where it's like, look at me, you should have never treated me the way you did. Now I'm balling out. Mm-hmm. I actually think he has a stinker, and I go with the Bills to pull this out.
Speaking of stinker, you got the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears.
Who's going to be playing quarterback for the Panthers? Is it still the Red Rocket?
Andy Dalton's in, man.
I said this though. He always comes out his first game and is like all pro quarterback, and then he settles into the offense and he just kind of starts to sink in and not become a shell of anything that he was that first game. Give me the Bears to pull this out.
I'm gonna go opposite. I think the Carolina Panthers get this dub. So yeah, I'll go Panthers. Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos, big division game. Both teams 2-2. It's in Denver.
You trade away your top receiver, or name wise your top receiver. Man, it is in Denver. Give me Denver. I'll take Denver in this one.
Bo Nix has just been throwing way too many interceptions. I'm going to go with the Raiders on the road. I think the defense. I think Las Vegas's defense is still a lot better than what it looks. So I'll take the Raiders. The Arizona Cardinals are on the road at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are banged up, but also how atrocious has that Arizona defense been? And it's in San Francisco. I'll take the 49ers at home.
I'm gonna go with the Cards. Like you said, the 49ers are really banged up. I think Bosa's out. Let me look at the injuries for the 49ers. Fred Warner's questionable. Chris Conley's questionable. D. Winters. They got a lot of defensive players out or questionable. Kittle's questionable. I think they're missing too much. I think the Cardinals pull this out.
Green Bay Packers at the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, give me the Packers. The Rams are beat up. They are.
Jordan Love is still questionable, but they look better without Jordan Love, to be honest.
I was going to say Malik Willis has been playing just as good as any other quarterback in the league.
Cooper
maybe
Kupp
not just as good, but he's been able to keep him afloat.
Cooper Kupp and Nakua is out.
Yeah. I'm give me the Packers.
I'm gonna go Stafford. I gotta trust him. I think Stafford will get the win. The New York Football Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle still looked pretty good in a loss on Monday night.
Yeah.
And the Giants are just terrible. I'm gonna go Seattle at home.
Yeah, give me Seattle.
And then already Monday Night Football next Monday, the New Orleans Saints at the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City opens up as 5-point favorites.
Um, Man,
Pacheco is questionable, or Pacheco is out.
Pacheco's out.
Rice is out,
Yeah,
um, and Hollywood Brown is out.
yeah, man. Um, I feel like you look at the game and you're like, the Saints should probably win this with the amount of points that they've been able to put up against Dallas. And what was that other game where they just completely, was it the Panthers? They beat
Yeah,
them like 50-10 or something like that. You look at it and you're like, this is probably the game that the Chiefs lose.
no,
I
it's
think
at
this is the game that the Chiefs get together. It's home. It's Monday night. It's going to be raucous. The crowd's going to be going. I think Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid pull out some miracle to either win close or by 10.
yep. Before we get to college football predictions, hunt for the October MLB baseball postseason. Does that attract you any? Do you want to talk about any baseball?
I honestly looked at ESPN yesterday, and I was like, interesting. Baseball is in playoffs.
Yep.
So I had no idea. I know it's October and the hunt for October and all that, but it's just something that baseball doesn't really pique my interest. I think it's the amount of games that they play, and it's like this. No particular game matters. Once the playoffs kind of ramp up and get out of this wild card, I think I'll kind of tune in and start to check it out. But regular season, I am out.
College football, man. Another good week of fun, entertaining games. Alabama, Georgia completely surprised both of us. I think, did we both pick Alabama last week? I know I went Alabama. Did you go Georgia?
No, I went Alabama.
Um, Fun game. I picked K State. We both picked K State. They embarrassed Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. We both picked Oklahoma. We both picked Texas. Um, it was a fun week last week. Let's get into a. It's still. I think it's still going to be entertaining.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Friday night, Michigan State at number 6, Oregon. Trap game Friday night, or do you think Oregon takes care of Michigan State at home?
It's in Autzen. I think they take care of Michigan State. They're pretty bad.
The only reason they were in the news, I think, was because of the quarterback situation. Q's at undefeated UNLV.
UNLV still look good without Matt Skula, I believe is his name. They still look good. They still put up points. So I don't think it was the player. I think it's the offense and the surrounding players. So give me UNLV versus Syracuse.
UCLA, Penn State, undefeated, but it's always like, man, they're pretty decent until they have to put points on the board.
Um, is your wire getting twisted up anywhere?
Yeah, I need a new headset.
Um, UCLA has not looked good in any of their games since the Hawaii game, and I wouldn't even consider Hawaii Division One anymore. Give me Penn State pretty easily.
Penn State, they're 27-point favorites.
Yeah, give me them easy.
Missouri, number 9 at Texas A&M.
This is tough, man. The last time we saw Missouri, they went into double overtime versus Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt is or was better than what they have been the last couple of years, starting off, I believe 3-0, maybe 2-1. But I think it's 11 a.m. kickoff, so it's kind of tough. It's not going to be, that nighttime crowd. Give me Missouri and Luther Burden to take over and beat Texas A&M at home.
I'm gonna go the opposite way. I think Texas A&M starts to show their colors. I think A&M gets it. Um, Iowa at Ohio State.
Iowa not going to be able to match point for point. Give me Ohio State.
This should be an entertaining one. Not, I think Georgia runs away with it. Auburn at Georgia.
Yeah,
I think Georgia enters this game very pissed off.
I'm trying to find it. Is it at Georgia?
It's in Georgia, yes.
Yeah. If it was in Jordan Hare, you might say that, it could come down to a couple things. No, they, after essentially being embarrassed for a half, I think they are all locked in. I think practice this week is probably one of the best practices they've had in a while. Knowing just how close they were to beating Alabama after being down so much, the belief has got to be through the roof in that locker room. So give me Georgia to put it on Auburn, and also on the flip side, Auburn losing that heartbreak that they did.
Yeah. Auburn's trash. I think they're going to get.
I don't think they're trash. I think Auburn's better than their record shows for sure. They just have a turnover problem. And one thing Georgia's going to be able to do is to cause turnovers.
It's insane. They were running pretty good against Oklahoma. That's the best Auburn's been running all season long. And I was kind of shocked too because Oklahoma's run defense had seemed to be very, very good.
It is pretty good. I mean, OU, I think. I don't know. I don't know what to think. That's what I'm really excited for what OU and Texas is. It'll give us a little bit more insight of what was going on, but I think this bye week came at a really good time for OU and Texas. But yeah, give me Georgia.
Ole Miss just got stunned, but they're on the road against South Carolina.
I don't want to call for back-to-back upsets, but South Carolina's defense has looked pretty good with their backs against the wall the last couple weeks. I mean, Kentucky almost beat Georgia, which historically we see that, but they put up 50 on Akron. If they can score points and they can put up some defense, I think this might be one of those games where Ole Miss kind of comes in and they think, hey, let's get back on track. Let's do this. But then you look up in the fourth quarter and it's 21-17 or something. I think it'll be close to the fourth quarter. Ole Miss will probably pull it out, though, in a last-second field goal or touchdown.
Yeah. I think I'll go Ole Miss by 2 touchdowns.
I don't know. I don't think they're made of that kind of stuff. And I think South Carolina coming off a bye week is I believe it was a bye week.
Yeah, they had a bye week.
Yeah. I think they come out healthy, energized, and I think they put it on them.
Alabama at Vanderbilt. New number 1 team in the country.
Poor Vanderbilt. Alabama's cockiness. We'll say cockiness because you go in and you do what you did to Georgia for the first half. You do squeak out of it, but you make some amazing plays. Their cockiness is probably through the roof, and I think they put it on Vanderbilt.
I don't know if this is good, but you can thank Texas probably for waking up Milroe last season because it seems like since that loss, since the close game with USF, he's just been on fire. That dude is a stout of a horse, and he fucking runs like a horse.
I think the Kalen DeBoer.
I like him to take the Heisman this year.
Offensive style. He's in the best position to. He's got great offensive talent around him to be able to help him put up those numbers. So,
and he's going to keep running. I think they're going to have a solid year. I go Alabama big. I don't really want to talk about it, but it's Clemson on Saturday Night Football at Florida State. I think Clemson just completely mops the floor with them.
Yeah, this one won't be close. This one will not be close at all.
I think this is go ahead.
For this one to be 6 o'clock prime time.
It's not the primetime game, though.
No, but it's still 6 o'clock. This one should be an 11 a.m. kickoff. Get it out the way. Let's enjoy what else is there. This is going to be a absolute beatdown. Unless I had heard something about DJU being set. I don't know if that's true. If DJU plays, this is a beatdown. If he's sat, there could be something going on, but Clemson looks dang good over the last couple of weeks.
Miami at Cal. Cal's sneaky 3-1. Miami should have lost that game last week. Um, you think they go on the road and just demolish Cal, or do you think this is a close one too?
I I I trust Cam Ward to be able to get it and pull it through. Give me Miami.
Big?
I wouldn't say big. I don't know how sneaky good that 3-1 is for Cal. I know that
No.
they lost to, um, oh, who did they lose to? Do you have that pulled up?
Yeah, they lost to Florida State.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Them beating Auburn too. That shouldn't have happened. Um, they should honestly be 2-2. Auburn should have won that game, but I think they threw 5 picks or had 5 turnovers total. Um, you lose to Florida State, you obviously have issues. Give me Miami. I will say big now that I see that record.
I'll go Miami as well. Baylor at Iowa State. Iowa State's undefeated in the Big 12 and non-conference, but I think this is going to be a close game. I still pick Iowa State though.
Baylor's had moments of looking decent, but yeah, I think Iowa State. It's at Jack Trice too. Give me Iowa State.
Uh, your second favorite team, USC at Minnesota.
Um, I I don't think Minnesota has that the amount of tenacity that some of these other Big Ten schools might have to give the USC trouble. So give me USC.
This one looks interesting, but I still think it could be um, an upset. Washington hosting number 10 Michigan. I know this isn't the Washington from last, but Michigan is also just kind of what are you? I think Michigan is an identity crisis right now.
Um, I think Michigan is starting to get an idea of what they are. Just to pound the rock, get a couple play actions off the edge. They've really found something with their running back, their backup running back. You know, Donovan Edwards was the big name coming out of the offseason, and he hasn't really done anything. It's been this backup, kind of like what happened mid last year. You know, Blake Corum, I think, got banged up a little bit last year. Donovan Edwards stepped in, especially during that championship game. But if they can get the run game going with whoever that backup is, maybe starter now, I think Michigan pulls this one out.
And then the big primetime game, 6:30 ABC, Tennessee, number 4 ranked Tennessee at Arkansas.
I Tennessee is good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if they're as good as people might be perceived.
Arkansas should be 4-1, maybe even undefeated.
Arkansas is good. They just have choked away a couple of these games. Um, I think it's close in the fourth quarter, but Tennessee pulls it out.
Yeah, they should have beat they should have beat Oklahoma State, and they should have beat Texas A&M. They could be undefeated right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I'll go.
don't.
I'll go Tennessee on the road.
I don't think Arkansas has near the defense OU does, but I do think Arkansas has a little bit more offensively with that quarterback. That quarterback's pretty good, pretty shifty in the open field. It all just depends on if they keep their play calling simple and execute the simple play calling, it'll be close. If not, Tennessee might blow it open.
Let's talk our good friend Mike Gundy and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They're at home in the good old land of Stillwater, and they're hosting the Virginia Tech Mountaineers,
West
or
Virginia.
West Virginia Mountaineers. Um, Ollie Gordon. I'm hearing numbers and I'm hearing stuff compared to Barry Sanders. He's coming in with 334 yards and just 4 touchdowns.
Through 5 games.
And again, Alan Bowman, whatever the hell his name is, with that fugly ass mustache. He's playing just like that thing is growing. Ass. I give me. I think Oklahoma State's gonna win, but I what does it have to do to get Mike Gundy out of there? Are they're just fine with losing back-to-back games? Oh, you and Texas are gone. You're gonna win the Big 12. Let's just hand it over to you. And you can't even get through the regular season schedule without
Well,
looking like the Oklahoma State from old.
not just the regular season, the guaranteed hardest two games on their schedule that people were like, these teams are going to give you issues. It's like they come in unprepared. Utah, without Cam Rising in their first game, has completely, you know, a makeshift offensive performance and only put up 22. But you can only put up 19. Like, granted, Utah's defense is it. It's legit. It's the best in the Big 12. Bar, I don't want to say bar none because BYU is really sneaky right now.
And guess what? Their next game is at BYU, a late game. BYU is going to be all over that Oklahoma State ass.
10-18. Hold on. 10-18 is a Friday night game. We all know how Friday night games go, and it's at BYU. If they lose to West Virginia, there's a very good chance they lose to BYU. And if they go 0-4 in conference, after essentially, like you said, the silver platter was there for them to finally win the Big 12. Utah's coming in, they're newcomers. Colorado's coming in, they're newcomers.
You even have Ollie Gordon returning. So guess what?
All 5 linemen are coming back. Ollie Gordon's coming back. Your quarterback's coming back. At what point do you... Mike Gundy's just sitting here at press conferences like, yeah, we got this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we need to fix this refrigerator over here. Like, he's just nonchalant being back-to-back losses in the Big 12, essentially knocking you out of any sort of playoff contention.
Let's not forget they beat Oklahoma last year in the final Bedlam game. They go to the Big 12 championship, and what do they do in that game? They stink it the hell up.
I think Texas showed exactly how you stop Ollie Gordon with the defense that they put on him. And everybody is simply copying that has somewhat of a defense. I mean,
I feel bad for Ollie Gordon because he came back, and I think his NFL draft stock might have dropped unless he can kick it on these last 6-7 games.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying 350 yards through 5 games. You're essentially saying without a team around me, I cannot produce. With teams game planning for me, I cannot produce. Scouts don't want to see that. Scouts don't want to hear that.
Yep. And you still have a tough road schedule, man. You have at BYU, at Baylor, at TCU, and at Colorado.
If Colorado is...
And Colorado, the last few games,
7-4,
they've been looking pretty decent.
Yeah. Say Colorado's 7-4 at that time. Let's look at their so Colorado plays Kansas State next weekend. They got to bye this weekend.
They got at home, they get Utah in Colorado, and they get Oklahoma State in Colorado.
Yeah.
So their 3 toughest games are at home.
I mean, I think they lose to K-State. I think they beat Arizona, beat Cincinnati, beat Tech, maybe lose to Utah. Kansas is a shell of what they were last year, so they beat Kansas. You go into that game, what is that?
It's the last
4-2, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, 7-3, 8-3. You go into that game 8-3 with a chance to possibly, maybe you squeeze one of those other games out that are losses, squeeze one of those out with a chance to get into the Big 12 championship. At Colorado, which is already electric as it is because of who's there and what's there. Alan Bowman's got half the field because Travis Hunter is going to lock that receiving core down.
So,
and if you let him have half the field, it's a wrap, especially if you're not able to run the ball.
I know we spend most of our comments and stuff on SEC games now because we're big OU Texas fans. So next weekend is just going to be a complete sludge fest. But this week, dude, I want to ask, does Mike Gundy stick around after this season? with no Big 12 championship game? If they don't make the Big 12 championship game, does he stick around or is he
If they
fired?
if they finish outside of the top 5 in the Big 12, the current Big 12, you know how hard that has to be to finish outside the top 5 in the current Big 12.
I don't even want to. I don't even want to know that. I just want to know if he does not make that title game, which everything was handed to him to make it this year.
Yeah,
Do you
everybody's returning. You had
do you
everything laid out in front of you.
do you restart if you're OSU and do you let the old gun go? But there's plenty of people they can replace him with. Mike Gundy is just set in his old ways and he's comfortable. He
Yeah.
needs to be removed from Stillwater and just bye, see you later.
Honestly, they can keep him as long as they want, especially if this is what they're putting up. Now that you have an opportunity to make the college football playoff, in which a season where OU probably won't, and you would have all that ammunition against your former rival, leaving, going to the SEC, doing what they wanted to do. And you know what you do? You go 0-2 in conference against a team that doesn't have their star quarterback.
And it was in Stillwater.
And it's in Stillwater. You put up like 190 something yards offense with Heisman contender Ollie Gordon.
I expect the Kansas State performance, but the Utah performance at home, I think, is unquestionably. I think that's an embarrassment. Who knows? Maybe they come out and they just put 50 up on West Virginia, and they can kind of put some stuff to bed. I think if you go and you completely embarrass West Virginia, I think you'll be maybe okay. But if you put up another stinker against West Virginia,
And you should beat West Virginia bad. They're not good this year.
no.
They lost big time to Penn State. Week 1, okay, it is what it is. But they lost to Pitt. Pitt's not good. Tell me one time you've heard of Pitt this year. They are 3-0, 4-0, but they beat Kent State, Cincinnati, West Virginia. Okay, so they're the king of the Big 12. But they're 12th in the ACC because they haven't played anybody yet. But, I mean, Pitt could be really good. They could be really bad, and they just haven't really paid anybody because Cincinnati obviously is – Cincinnati's not good either.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so I wanted to touch on the Oklahoma State game. You pick Oklahoma State big. Let's go ahead and talk about that prediction.
it should be 31-10.
Since they are an Oklahoma team, we're an Oklahoma podcast. We can talk about them in the episode. Before we finish off on the OSU bandwagon, one more SEC game to talk about. UCF at Florida, Big 12 versus SEC. You got Florida win big, or what do you think?
If Florida doesn't win, Bayou Billy or whatever they call him, shouldn't even board the team plane. UCF is decent. They're not the greatest team. They have talent. They have an SEC quarterback at play. They have Harvey at running back, but they just got blown out against Colorado when they were a 14-point favorite at home. At home.
Texas has Florida here in a few weeks.
If Florida doesn't beat UCF by more than 14, Billy Napier should not be there. Especially if it's a loss. If it's a close win, it is what it is. You keep it moving. But if it's a loss, you got to reconsider at that moment. And it's insane how Kansas had all this momentum. I just want to touch on this.
Yeah.
All this momentum. They finally beat OU in a year where OU was pretty good. You have your Kansas. Yeah. You have your quarterback returning.
They beat OU last year?
They beat OU last year. Don't play it off.
No, I'm being serious. I thought that was 2 years ago.
No, they beat OU last year. They were that was
the rain game.
The rain game where the stadium was like empty and
yeah, okay.
And old Mississippi State head coach Jeff Lebby decided to throw the ball past the sticks like one time, and I think it was a completed pass that one time, but we barely lost, and we didn't even throw the ball downfield with Dylan Gabriel, who is arguably one of the leading passers of college football all time. He's in the top 20, I believe. Never threw it downfield, and that was that 3-game stretch where lost to Kansas, beat BYU, lost to Oklahoma State, and then he's gone. It's
So, man, fun week coming up. You said Kansas too. Kansas is choking.
Yeah, they're 1-4. They've lost. They lost to Illinois, which Illinois was pretty good. They lost to UNLV, which UNLV is pretty good. They lost by 4 to West Virginia. West Virginia is not that good. At least I don't think they are. And then you lose to TCU, who is 3-2, but they lost 66-42 to SMU and 35-34 to UCF, who just got blown out by Colorado. Your 2 wins are Stanford, which is a Power 0 team. They're not. They're with the ACC, I believe, but I mean they're not a football school right now. And Long Island.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's
Next week. I already can't wait till Monday, man. We got Red River rivalry to talk about. Ohio State at Oregon, South Carolina, Alabama.
Next week, the next 2 weeks,
Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU. Next week is going to be fun. I can't wait till Monday already. So
next Monday is going to be fun, or like elite. Next Monday is going to be so. 2 weeks of build up for OU Texas, and not only OU Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, USC, Penn State, Alabama, South Carolina. I think there was one other game which was like really good where you're looking at it. Ole Miss, LSU, Kansas State, Colorado is going to be sneaky good.
Yep.
I mean, that's all next week.
Also, let's not forget Tennessee, Florida. I know Florida's trash, but there's something different about those rivalry games.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that's next week, not this Saturday, but Saturday after that. But then you look forward to the week after that. I believe it's Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Miami, Louisville, Auburn, Missouri, Michigan, Illinois, USC, Maryland, LSU, Arkansas, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech.
I played Georgia in an online dynasty game, and man, it was tough. But I ended up winning 10-3. It's gonna be a fun game.
This week's fun, but the next 2 weeks after that are real. If you're a diehard college football fan, those are the days you stay at home all day.
Speaking of staying at home, what are you doing this weekend, man? You got any outside plans? Football? Just living it up?
It's a bye week for OU. I know there's some big games, but it is a bye week. I might try to figure out something to go do with the family or just, be out.
If you're going to be out, don't forget you can go see Joker 2. That's our next episode on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We'll be talking about that next Tuesday, October the 8th. Next Tuesday, October the 8th, Joker 2. We'll be talking about that next Tuesday. So, other than that, I think that should be it up until next Monday, man. Next Monday we'll talk OU Texas.
Yeah, next Monday. This year more than any is it's interesting because Quinn's been out for a couple of weeks. So are they going to be able to step back on track immediately against probably the toughest defense they've played all year? Is Michael Hawkins legit? Is the offense going to be changed at all with Michael Hawkins running the offense? It looked like it changed a little bit Saturday.
A few years ago, remember Quinn Ewers was out and he came back in the OU game and he just lit it up.
Well, that wasn't OU's. That was OU's worst team since like 1965. So
lit it up.
I don't know. A well-rested OU's defense. I mean, we all saw what they did against that high-flying Tennessee offense. I think it's going to be very similar how they perform against Texas. Quinn Ewers did struggle in the first half, but after that, he really lit it up and didn't really miss any passes in the second half last year. So it is. It's going to be fun, man. 2 whole weeks of anticipation, build up.
I will say this year, he cannot afford to have a bad first half. If he plays like he did the second half last year against OU, I think they can probably, put some points up. But he cannot afford to have a bad first quarter like he did last year. Last year, I think in the first quarter he threw 2 picks, and yeah, he cannot afford to do that this year.
Yeah, I don't know who all will actually be available for OU in that game. But if OU gets back Desan McCullough, um, and two of their 5 receivers that are out, say Deion Burks and Farouk, or even Nick Anderson. I mean, Nick Anderson had a career day last year against Texas, so it'll be interesting to see who comes back for Oklahoma and what all they decide to install in this bye week.
Yeah, I wish the college football section of the ESPN app, I wish it had like little stats, like little red marks about players that are in and out, like the NFL information does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and college is a little bit more sneakier as far as like who they reveal is going to be starting and not starting. So
yeah. The SEC's kind of put that out there to make you have to, let it be known who's out, who's in, and whatnot. But I think being able to come back and beat Auburn last week is a big confidence booster. I think you're going to have you lose that game, and your first week of practice is probably a little off skewed. Trying to get your mindset back right and do this, that, and the other. But you beat Auburn. You have a lot of confidence. You're coming back into a game that you really beat. I'm gonna be honest. The score was close. They had to come back and win in the second, the final drive. But
yeah,
you take away that punt block versus Texas, and
oh, you talking about last year?
yeah, I mean, you take away a couple things, and you might end up blowing that game out of the water. So, I think the confidence is there for both. The confidence is there for both teams, is what I'm saying.
On both sides.
Right, that's what I'm saying. OU believes they should have won more. Texas believes they shouldn't have lost at all. The confidence is there for both teams.
Should be interesting.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Hopefully, it'll be fun. Hopefully, it's not like, hopefully one team doesn't get blown out of the water. This game is always fun when it's like super, super close.
Yeah.
So
that 2024 overtime game.
Oh yeah,
that was a legit. I was
3
there.
Years ago, 2020. Yeah, the COVID game. Yeah. Who was Texas is
old Sam Ellinger.
Have never had
the only starting quarterback for Texas to lose 4 games versus OU.
He is trash. But look, man, it's been a fun week. Another fun weekend coming up for college football. Until then, next week. See y'all Tuesday. Next Monday.